Hey everyone, and welcome to English with Miss V. Today's topic is a really good one. We're going to be talking about likes and dislikes. This is super important because it builds your personality when you're having conversations. You need to be able to say things that you love, adore, hate, dislike. Notice how there are a lot of different ways of saying the same thing. What if I told you that I love prosciutto on my pizza, but I can't stand snakes? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Those are just a few ways of saying if you like or dislike something. So let's go into this with a bit more detail. Take out a notepad and a pen and take down some notes because you are going to want to remember this lesson. All right, let's start with ways of saying that you like something. Okay, so you can say, I like, I love, I really enjoy, I'm into. That's a really good one to learn. And if you use this one, you will really sound like a native English speaker. Okay, these are all ways of saying that you like something a lot. Okay, so you don't just have to say, I like. You can use any one of these. And there are a few other ways as well that you could say that you like or love something, but these were my favorite ones to use. Again, I like, I love, I really enjoy, I'm into. Write those down. Let's move on. These are some examples of saying what we just talked about in sentences, all right? So you could say, I love chocolate. I'm into football. I really enjoy cooking, or I'm really into cooking. Now, hopefully you've all seen my previous lesson on conjugating verbs, because if you did, you would know how to say she likes something or they like something. Okay, so if you haven't watched that lesson, go back, watch it. It'll really help you understand how to talk about others liking something, not just yourself. Okay, so again, these sentences are, I love chocolate. I'm into football. I really enjoy cooking. Okay, now let's talk about how to say if we don't like something. All right, there's more than one way of saying that you don't like something. And here are some of those examples. You can say, I don't like. So all we've done is add the negative into there. I hate. Now that is probably the strongest form of saying you don't like something. I hate. I'm not a fan of. Guys, highlight that sentence. That is one of those sentences where if you say it in English, you will sound like a native speaker, okay? So, I'm not a fan of. That's a really good one to use if you're trying to sound like you've been speaking English your whole life. I can't stand. That's what I said at the start. I said I can't stand snakes. Okay, again, all of these mean that you really don't like something. I can't stand. Okay, let's have a look at some examples. I hate spiders. I'm not a fan of coffee. Obviously, these sentences aren't true because, as you guys know, I am obsessed with coffee and can't live without it. I can't stand traffic. That's true, actually. No one likes traffic. I can't stand traffic. I hate spiders. I'm not a fan of coffee, okay? Notice as well there's different levels, okay? So hate is probably the strongest. I hate, so that's the strongest. I'm not a fan of, that's not very strong. It just means you don't really like it. Hate is you absolutely do not like it at all. I can't stand, well, that's probably second strongest. I hate first. I can't stand is probably second strongest, okay? So just know those levels. Okay, let's move on. Now let's talk about other people. This is what I was talking about before when I said go back to my previous lesson on conjugating some verbs and see if you can work out how to say that someone else likes or hates something, okay? Because in these examples, you could say, she likes dancing. He loves watching movies. They don't like cold weather. Okay, that's true. I really don't like cold weather. My friend hates running. Okay, so just learning about how to talk about other people and what they like and don't like. Okay, she likes, he loves, they don't like. So again, all we've done is just add the negative. My friend hates. Write these examples down. I think they'll really become important to you later on. Okay, it's time for a quick practice. Now, for these sentences, there could be different answers depending on what you think. So, for example, I really ice cream. She, horror movies. We, listening to music. They, pizza. Okay, so have a go at writing down the answers to these questions. Hi, Teddy. Hey, Bello. Have a go at writing those down, everybody, and you can pause the video here. Actually, maybe this is a good time to pause the video because you can write down your answers and then we'll go back and we will mark it together. Okay, let's do a quick practice together. Again, if you want, you can pause the video here, write down your answers, and then we can go through it together and see how many you got correct. So, for these answers, there could be lots of different answers, okay? Depending on whether you like it or not, okay? But what I'm looking for is that you've conjugated the verb correctly, okay? So, if I want to say, I really ice cream, what could you put in there so that it makes sense? You could say, I really love ice cream, or I really like ice cream. You can say, I really enjoy ice cream. What you can't say though is, I really likes ice cream. That wouldn't make sense. We haven't used the verb to like properly, okay? Remember, I like, you like, he, she, or it likes, we like, they like. So you have to know how to use the verb. So you can say, I really like ice cream. She, horror movies. Let's assume she doesn't like horror movies. You could say, she hates horror movies. Or, she doesn't enjoy horror movies. Okay? What about the next one? We're listening to music. What could make sense in that sentence? We like listening to music. We enjoy listening to music. Or you could say, we don't like listening to music. It depends. And that's why I said there could be different answers for these. Lastly, they, pizza. They really enjoy pizza. Or you could say, they can't stand pizza, which means they really don't like it. Okay? So lots of different ways that you could manipulate these sentences. Just make sure that the verb is correct. Make sure you haven't said, they likes pizza. That doesn't make sense. The correct way to use the verb in that sentence is, they like pizza. So just double check. And again, go back and watch my lesson on conjugating verbs because it might give you a better understanding of this. Okay, final challenge for you all is this. You need to talk for 20 seconds. It's not that much, Put a timer on for 20 seconds and see how you go. I want you to say 2 things that you like and 2 things that you don't like. Mention 1 thing your friend likes, okay? So 2 things that you like, 2 things you don't like, and 1 thing that your friend likes. Remember to use the verb correctly, okay? And don't just use the same verb all the time. I like. Try and say I love or I really enjoy, okay? My friend can't stand. So try and use the different ways that we've talked about in this lesson, how you can use like and dislike in different ways. Well, everyone, that brings us to the end of this lesson. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to click that bell for new updates. Remember, guys, that practice makes progress. So keep speaking English and keep on practicing.